Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you as always by our great friends at Coolbet Canada, and of course our new friends at Larry Hudson's Chevrolet Buick GMC, and our friends over at the Listowel Squash Courts as well. Ryan Drury back here, and Clarkey's on the show this week, but he's not on the show, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. Clarkey, you are in a beautiful location, much better backdrop than what I have. Well, maybe not much better. I love Ovi, but that's pretty spectacular looking, brother. What do you got going on?
Well, it's time. It's January. It's time for a little vacation. So here I am, where I spoke to you last year down in Punta Cana, a little golf trip. Nightfall is setting in. We flew out this morning, flew out of Hamilton. I tell you, if you ever want to fly somewhere, fly out of Hamilton. What a much easier.
It's so good,
isn't it? So we did have to wait on the plane for it to de-ice. Of course, you guys had a little snowstorm, so it was about an hour wait as they were de-icing the plane. But once we got up, it was a little turbulent, actually, to tell you the truth. But yeah, I'm here. I'm just about to go for dinner because we're an hour ahead here, right? So it's dinner time here. So anyway, it's all good. Thank you for having me on. I just wanted to rub it into everyone that I'm down here in the warm climate as you're getting the snowstorm.
Yeah, that's the type of guy you are. You like to rub it in and, do a little humble brag. Good for you. I love that you said, thanks for having me on your own show. This is your show. Thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah. All right. Now listen, while you're down there, I mean, I don't know if you can bill them for extra work here because you're going to do a plug here. Well, as we will every week for our friends from Larry Hudson's, because remember, Hudson's has it, 1000 Wallace Avenue here in beautiful Listowel. Tell us a little bit about what's going on over there.
Yeah, well, Canyons and Colorados. The sale is still on, so get out there on all 22 Canyons and Colorados. Free set of winter tires and free $500 gift gas card. Who can't use that? So winter tires and $500 worth of gas cards for every 2022 purchase of a Canyon or Colorado. And I had someone come in the other day who watches our show.
No way.
He asked for me, and I thought, oh boy, when you have that feeling that, oh, should I know this guy? Because that's what it was. I'm like, I don't know who this guy. And he's like, you Chris? I go, yeah. Clarkey? And I'm like, yeah. Bob Drury.
Really?
Is that your grandpa?
No.
Who's your grandpa?
Bill.
No, seriously, your grandpa. Bill Drury came in. Sorry. Yeah.
Am I going to have a call with Grandpa? Is he looking to get another truck?
No, he wasn't looking at a truck. He was looking at an SUV. But yeah.
Oh, there you go. I know he wants one. Well, there you go. The power of advertising. Isn't that something? Yeah. And I know,
so I met your grandpa,
I know for a fact, I know. Well, there you go. Lovely people. Graham and Grandpa, I know they watch the show, and that's not even YouTube. They're not really YouTube people, although I did show Grandpa how to find his Johnny Cash live on there. He was very excited about that. I know they watched this on Whiteman.
Okay, well, there you go. And he also told me that you got a record from him that you wanted. What was the record? It was Michael Jackson, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised he even remembered because Grandpa acted like he didn't know what that was. Yeah, my grandparents are going to be moving. They're going to sell their house, which is a little sad for me. A lot of memories there. But Grandpa's just got this massive collection of just old country records, like stuff I've never even heard of. The Cash is in there, the Kitty Wells and stuff. But there's stuff in there that's so obscure I've never even heard of. And I'm rifling through it. And lo and behold, there's like a mint condition original 1982 press of Thriller. And I was like, Grandpa, this record's probably worth $70-$80. And he was like, really? Oh, well, do you want it? You can just have it. You wouldn't take money from me for it. And I went home and spun it, and it sounds pristine. Just like the pristine service that you will receive, and it'll be a thriller for you when you go to our friends at Larry Hudson's, right, Chris?
Exactly. So it's all good, and thanks, Bill. I'm sorry, Bill. I got him mixed up with Bob, but I knew it was Bill Drury, your grandfather, and so it was good. There you go. The power of
advertising. Before we let you go and get to your beautiful dinner, because the sun is disappearing. How long was it before you were able to get out of the conversation with my grandpa? Was it below 10 minutes?
Oh, no. He was there probably half an hour. We went for a little test drive. Oh, no. It was good. It was a nice little conversation. It was very nice to meet him. It was very nice.
Well, if you ever wondered, Chris, where I got my gift of gab, your question was answered.
Exactly.
Grandpa's the best. Grandma and Grandpa are the best. And so are our friends at Larry Hudson's. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got two great guests on the show this week. From Palmerston, Leah Herrfort, who was on the gold medal winning team for Team Canada at the University Winter Games in Lake Placid. She was a teammate of our recent guest, Hannah Tate. And then we will have another local sports legend, a former Listowel Cyclone superstar, Caleb Cameron, who set a pretty impressive record playing pro hockey down in the States. He will join us as well, and we'll be talking about that, his hockey career, and of course, he and Clarkey's Maple Leafs. I can never avoid it. There's too many Leaf fans around here. One day I'm going to do an all-capital show, Clarkey. Enjoy Punta Cana, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. I'll talk to you from the beach next week, maybe.
Yes, let's do that. We'll be back in a minute with more Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Ryan Drury back here. We've left Clarkey alone to enjoy the Dominican Republic, but like I mentioned before the break, we've got two great guests, and let's start it off with a local athlete, Leah Herrfort, who many people around this area will know. They'll at least recognize the name. Of course, her older brother Chase was a star for the Listowel Cyclones for a long time, and now she's a hockey star, not only with the University of Waterloo Warriors, but she's bringing back a gold medal from the University Winter Games as part of Team Canada. Leah, it's such a pleasure to have you on. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Obviously, like I just mentioned, people are probably very familiar with your older brother, Chase, who had a pretty good career, I would say, with the Listowel Cyclones, but you have done a hell of a job carving out your own path in the sport and at school. Congratulations. I mean, what's it like coming back home with a gold medal draped around your neck?
Thank you, first of all. I don't know. It's surreal. Like I've never won like a gold medal that was like a legit world stage gold medal. Like obviously we've won tournaments and here and there, but yeah, it's like a feeling like I've never had before. I don't know what to think about it. Like I come back and people are like, "Hey, congrats." And like, I don't know. I feel like a celebrity a little bit. It's kind of cool.
You should feel like a celebrity. You're a gold medal winner, for God's sake. Absolutely. I mean, obviously such an accomplishment. And I wonder what it was like, to win with the obviously kind of weird dynamic that your team has. No matter what, when a Team Canada gets together in hockey, you're mixing so many players from so many different teams, many of whom are familiar with their teammates as opponents. And a couple weeks ago, we had Hannah Tate on, who obviously you played on the team with, and I'm sure you and her were very familiar with each other prior to the tournament. What was it like to kind of set rivalries aside, become teammates with some of those girls, and ultimately achieve the ultimate goal?
It was honestly like cool. Like it wasn't like I'm sitting next to someone that I like hate playing against on the ice. Like everyone in that room was a really good hockey player. So at first I was a little nervous because you're playing with new people. And obviously me and Tatum, my line mate, have been playing well together all year. So I was a little nervous going into a room of people I don't know and people I've never played with. But I think I had to remind myself, like, all these people are here for a reason. They're great hockey players. Like they're not going to be bad line mates, so to speak. But yeah. And then Tater, we had played together in a spring hockey tournament when we were younger once. And I only remember that because we have the same birthday, like the exact same day, same year. And we celebrated it in Beantown in Boston at a tournament. We just threw together a team, or I was put on a team with her or something like that. But I knew of her. And then obviously we played against each other growing up in London when I was in Saugeen, and then at Guelph again. And obviously she's a great player. So you know who she is on the ice. And it was cool to, like, she was actually my roommate in Lake Placid. So we got to know each other pretty well. And I think it's cool because now we're pretty good friends and I'll see her on the ice. I mean, I don't think we play Guelph yeah, I don't think we play them again this season, but playoffs come around, maybe I'll have a friend on the other team.
Yeah, it's just I've always found it such a fascinating dynamic having to go from being competitors to suddenly you're on a team with a bunch of people that you're competing against in a different league or group, if you will, and then now you're all pulling on the same rope, if you will. What was your experience like in Lake Placid? I know when we talked to Hannah, she was really excited about going. Obviously, it's the site of one of the most historic hockey happenings ever, if you will, the Miracle on Ice, of course. And it's a special place for American hockey fans. And I'm sure that you broke some American hearts down there with your guys' performance, and we're excited about that. What was your experience like down there, just going to the town, the setting, competing for your country down there? What was the whole experience like?
It was surreal. Like, we started in Potsdam, like that's where we played our preliminary rounds, and that was just like at the university, so it was what we were used to, kind of thing. And then the last, like the semis, and we visited for a day before the semis, but for the semis and finals we were at the big, like, Lake Placid, the Olympic Stadium. Like, it was a big deal. But like the downtown area was so cool, and like they had like s'mores you could just roast on a open fire, like on the road. Like, it was like live music. It was surreal. Like, we went and spent the entire day, and I probably could have spent 4 more days there. It was so cool. And then also, like, the people there too were just so excited, and if they saw you wearing a Canada sweater or like a jacket or something, they came up to you and it was like, oh my goodness, your team Canada, can I get a picture with you? Like, I've never felt cooler in my life, honestly. These people like just loved it, and everyone was so nice. And yeah, no, I have nothing bad to say about it. It was so fun.
The full celebrity treatment, like you said. I mean, you deserve it. You're a gold medal winner. What was that like coming back to school? Obviously, now, you go back to University of Waterloo. Not only is it cool for some of your teammates you're returning to, but just the campus in general. What's it like walking around a Canadian university campus as a gold medal winner?
It's cool. Like, I actually was walking to office hours to meet with my professor like yesterday or 2 days ago. And on my way, I like something caught my eye, looked over, and like my one of my action shots is on the front cover of our like newspaper here at school. And I didn't even know that we had those sitting around, but I looked over and I'm like, oh hey, there's me. And I don't know, that was cool. I picked one up and I brought it home for mom. But like, yeah, it's cool. I mean, people have come up to me and said congrats, or people that are in my classes that I see because I missed the first 2 weeks. They're coming like, oh, like, congrats, that's awesome. And I'm like, thanks for the notes. Like, I'm really behind, but so worth it in the end.
Absolutely. Wait, was there ever a part of you that was tempted to maybe just for the first day back walk around with the medal a little bit? Like,
I did think about bringing it to my meetings with my professors to maybe get some like brownie points and see if they'd like help me out a little bit. But I haven't done it yet. It's definitely maybe something I'll do, or like bring it to practice or something just to show people. But
yeah, well, hey, if you're not happy with the term paper or something in a couple weeks, maybe you walk in, you make that gold medal work for you. You worked hard for it. Make it work for you, right? You mentioned your mom, and obviously I'm very familiar with your parents, having covered your brother's career, and what a great kid. I always loved Chase and that Cyclones team that so many people around here will remember for all the winning they did. I know you and your brother have a great relationship. I know that he kind of got you into the game when you were kids, and obviously the sibling competition that I'm sure was alive and well, but I know that there's a lot of mutual respect there. And I remember your brother talking to Steve Sabrin and I that do the OHA games at CKNX, and just he couldn't say enough about you. He was always talking about, my sister's a really good player. You should see my sister play. And I'm not just saying that to get him brownie points. He was always talking about his little sister, Leah. He's so proud of you. What was that like for your family to experience? You obviously winning a gold medal. Chase has had a great career too, but for you to go and win a gold medal for your country, what was that like for your family and for your brother?
It was cool, honestly. Like, when we did like a little jersey ceremony in our room, it was just our team, and they basically hand you your jersey, you put it on for the first time, like, and that's a cool feeling. But the first thing I did when I got my jersey is I took a picture of my phone and sent it to my brother because I thought he would like it.
Yeah.
With my name on the back, and I don't know, it was a cool like moment there. But then yeah, then my parents showed up for the first two games, and just like coming out of the room, the smiles on their faces were like, I mean, obviously we won, but like they were just so happy to be there and happy that I had finally like made it and spent a lot of my time working towards something like this. And then for them to be there and watch me do it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure a very humbling experience for yourself and for them, of course. I'm sure that they're extremely proud, and they should be. I do wonder as well, obviously it's an interesting dynamic, you guys all becoming teammates and being familiar with the players on the team from other rivalries. And, I kind of jokingly mentioned the sibling rivalry that I'm sure at times throughout your lives, you and Chase was alive and well, both of you being high level athletes. What was that dynamic like growing up? Because, and I'm sure you being the younger one, you wanted to get one up on your older brother. Were there some fierce stick slashing battles in the driveway or the basement growing up?
Honestly, like we got into our fair share of fights, but it was nothing serious. And my dad always said, he's like, your brother's good to you. Like he's not as bad as like a lot of brothers can be. And I was like, oh, okay. But no, a lot of what I know about the game and about like work ethic and just like obviously he's my older brother. He beat me in a lot of things and it was like a rare occurrence if I beat him in something, but it never stopped me from trying. And I think that's where I get my like drive and love for the game too, because I just wanted to spend time with him and like that's what he was doing, so that's what I'm doing. And yeah, I mean like my compete for sure comes from always trying to beat him at something. But yeah, he's an incredible athlete, so it was nearly impossible. But
obviously, he's still involved in the game, playing senior, and as I've mentioned a couple times now, it was so exciting to cover his junior hockey career and playing with the Cyclones, and it always kind of struck me, and you have this too, obviously, that clutch gene. You can't really teach that. It's just something that you have, and you clearly have it. You're a gold medal winner. But it always struck me, and, Steve and I have laughed with this, about this over the years, and including with your parents and Chase as well. It always seemed funny, when the Listowel Cyclones really needed a goal, it always seemed like he was the one to get it. He scored an awful lot of OT winners, game winners. With the two of you playing the same sport and obviously being so passionate about it, how much do you guys discuss the game, strategies, your approach, training, anything? How much of that is a conversation among you two? Or are you guys kind of at the point now where you're not really talking about the game as much? You're just kind of enjoying each other's success. What's it like?
Like I would say it's more like what you said, the last part there, where we just enjoy each other's success. Like I've been out to a few of his games at Waterloo and when Laurier plays them, and afterwards it's kind of just like, oh hey, long time no see. I probably chirp him or say something about something that happened in the game, and he chirps me back, or he's like, oh, do you have a ring? Or like he brings that one up all the time.
Well, now you got something a little better than a ring, I would say.
Oh yeah, we wait till he hears about this one.
Yeah, you're gonna win some arguments at Thanksgiving, I think.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
That's funny. I love it. And yeah, it's just, you're interesting in that. Yeah, it's so cool, the level that you've achieved, but also having a sibling that's doing the same thing. Like it's just it must just be such a cool dynamic. And I'm sure that growing up, as you guys were honing your craft, there probably were some conversations between the two of you of, hey, you should try a different curve or tape your stick like this. Like how much of that happened as you guys were kind of growing up? And I'm sure your parents were involved too.
Oh yeah. Like my dad was my coach growing up for a lot of years. So, I mean, there's obviously a lot of him telling me, do this or do that, or practice this, practice that, whatever. But I think with Chase, it was more, I just watched what he did and then tried to do it like exactly the way he did it or the way he taped his stick. I was like, I'm going to do that. Like, and then I'd tape my stick like that. And it was just like a monkey see, monkey do. But I think that happens in a lot of sibling relationships. But yeah, his success definitely played a part in mine in that sense. So I see him doing great things, and I see him being a clutch player or whatever you want to call it. Like I look up to that obviously, and I think that plays a big part in my game.
Now, I know obviously for any athlete and, much like myself in my media career, there's people you watch outside of, your siblings, if you're lucky to have siblings that are playing or whatever, that inspire you as well. And I know that you're a big fan, and who isn't a big fan of Marie-Philippe Poulin, MPP? She's creeping up on Wickenheiser. I don't know where you maybe sit on that. Wick's the GOAT, but MPP she's on her tail right now. What is it about the way that she plays the game that inspires you?
I was actually going to bring her up when you mentioned like the clutch gene, because that's one player I can think of off the top of my head that like will always score in like the final game or Canada needs a goal. She's scoring. Like every time I think of, she's got a goal in the final or a game that we need a goal in. And I think that's really cool that on such a big stage and in a big game like that, she still rises to the occasion and can help her team win. And I think that's the cool, like if I want to be known as a player, like that's how I want to be known. So yeah, like watching her growing up, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like that's how I want to be. So she's a really great role model for me, and not only just me, but a lot of young like athletes watching. But
I completely agree. Not a bad example to try and follow. Yeah, she's got the record for most game winners at the Olympics and the World Championships. I mean, that's nothing to sniff at, right? That's why I think she's probably creeping up into that GOAT territory. Wick, we could argue about that all day because they're both sensational people and players. As you look forward, I know you're at Waterloo and you're studying economics, if I'm not mistaken. You're studying economics, which is a good field to get into. As you look forward, what do you want to do with the game? Where do you want to take it from here? What are your dreams and goals with hockey beyond your current status as a gold medal winner, but also playing for Waterloo? Where do you want to go next?
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't know if you've heard, but we're hosting nationals in 2025, and that's in 2 years. So I will have eligibility for that. Still deciding if I'm going to stay, but like as of right now, I'm probably going to stay. But then after that, like hopefully go out with a bang. But hopefully like pro hockey would be cool. I know some girls that have gone to like Europe even, or it's not called the NWHL anymore. What's it called?
The PHF.
PHF, yeah, that one. Or like the PWHPA, like any of those leagues, it would be really cool to play for and stay in the game. If not though, like if that doesn't work out, which it doesn't always, but I definitely want to stay in the game, whether that's coaching or running camps, or especially locally, like in Palmerston or Listowel or like those areas, because girls hockey just doesn't really even exist there. Like you got to travel if you want to play girls hockey. And I think that can be changed, and that can be moved forward. And girls like me who have gone on and done things in their like in hockey can start those and develop the game. Like I would have loved if someone older than me had done that for me growing up. I mean, I was the only girl on my team of boys, and like a lot of the girls I play with now, but it doesn't have to be that way if the game is grown by other strong females in the sport.
I think it's really cool, your answer there, because, you're a young athlete. You got a lot of runway ahead of you in terms of competitive games and competing at a high level. I think it's cool that you have the wherewithal to kind of look forward and say, I'd like to give back and expand the game where I come from, or just in general. I think that is that's a very mature answer, Leah. That's, that's something to be proud of. It's one thing to be a gold medal winner, but I mean, to have the kind of wherewithal to want to give back at such a young age, that is very commendable, I must say.
Thank you. I mean, I say give back, but like when's the last time you saw a female coach in like minor hockey and for like a boys team or something like that? Like think about how like young girls would look at that and think, oh, like that's like possible. I can do that, or that's a thing. Like, because right now, I mean, it's not, and I'd like to change that eventually. But yeah, stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
Well, yeah, let's change that. And I mean, there are doors starting to open up, as they should, and as they should have a long time ago. I mean, you look at, I'm sure you're aware, Cami Granado working for the Canucks, and Wick working for the Maple Leafs as a development coach. Barb Underhill, the greatest skating coach of all time, also doing lots of work with the Leafs and many other NHL teams. Why not? There are a lot of doors left to kick down, and I think that with that gold medal draped proudly around your neck, why can't you kick a couple down as well?
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be really, really cool.
Being also in economics, there's doors that like there's a lot of doors that would be open in like the sports field. I'm actually taking a course right now called Economics of Sport. And it's kind of like I'm interested in it, and like there's a lot of jobs that you probably don't even know about within the sports industry that involve like stats and like regressions and basically just like the stats side of the game. And I never really considered it until I've like taken this course, but it's been cool to learn a little bit about it. So, I mean, there's always that alley as well.
Absolutely. Leah Herrfort, future general manager, perhaps?
I don't know if I go that far.
You never know. Why not? You could be the first one. Why not? Leah, this has been such a fun interview, and it's great for me, on my level personally, to kind of be able to talk to you, because I heard your brother talking about you for years, and it's great to see that you've been having success, and obviously the ultimate success. Congratulations again on winning a gold medal for our country. We're so proud of you, and congratulations. Like, that's just so great. And we really appreciate you giving us some of your time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It was an absolute pleasure. Yeah, this won't be the last time. We would love to have you back on again. Maybe we get you and Chase to have a sit down interview. You can break down some game tape for us, and
no,
try and teach us something about the game. Clarkey could use a couple lessons. Maybe you guys could teach him. That would be something.
I'll see what I can do. Maybe I'll shoot him a text and we'll see.
Absolutely. He's probably sick of hearing from me after all these years.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Leah Herrfort, gold medal winner with Team Canada at the University Winter Games, and of course playing with the University of Waterloo Warriors. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, former Listowel Cyclone Caleb Cameron will join us. He just broke a pretty cool record playing in the Southern Professional Hockey League. We'll talk to Caleb next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Ryan Drury back here. Thanks to our great guest, Leah Herrfort, for joining us, gold medal winner. We move from one local hockey legend to another. Now, this young man will be very familiar to Listowel Cyclones fans, one of the best Cyclones players they ever had. You are a star here, Mr. Cameron. Caleb Cameron, playing for the Macon Mayhem down in the SPHL. The man, not a myth, but he is a legend. Mr. Cameron, man, it's great to see you, brother. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Glad to be back here with you. It's like we were just saying, it's been about probably 9 years since I been able to be on something like this with you. So I know we keep in touch through Twitter and everything else, but this is special to me to be able to do. So thank you guys for having me on.
Oh, man, it's special to me, too. You know that we're always kind of keeping track of you down there in Georgia and what you're up to. And, well, what you're up to is you're breaking records. And it's not a surprise to anybody that watched you play up here, man. You have set the new franchise record with the Macon Mayhem in the Southern Professional Hockey League for games played. I believe the record's 212. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Caleb.
Yeah, 214 now technically, because every game I play now just
we're counting.
So yeah, it'll be we'll see what we can get it to, see how many more games I can get under my belt here. Obviously knock on wood with injuries and stuff like that, but I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and keep the record going.
Well, dude, and I mean, you look at your hockey DB profile, and it's no shock to anybody to see you've scored 20 goals already this year. That's not a shock to anybody that's used to watching you play. But I mean, beyond that, everybody knows you and remembers you as a great offensive player, which you were and still are. But what does that mean to you to be playing pro hockey, to be settled into a really cool spot? I know you really love being down there in Georgia. What does it mean to you to be the franchise record holder for games played?
Yeah, I think it's pretty special. Like I say to a lot of people, everyone wants a goal record or a points record, but there's an honor behind the games played, and especially for one single team, one organization. I loved my time in Listowel. I spent 3 years there. Loved my time at RIT, and then came down here. And loyalty is a big thing for me. I'm a family man, have a family down here with my wife and kids now. And this organization and this community is really, like Listowel was to me and like Rochester was, it's really become a second home. Obviously it's my only home now. As my wife and I work at getting my green card and, really permanently living down here. But it's definitely an honor to be able to have an accomplishment of a games played record under my belt. And, like I said, I look forward to the rest of the season. And, I think it's a little victory lap for me. This will probably, 99.9% sure this will be my last season. So it's a special season to be able to share it with my family here. And, we've got a little 5-year-old boy. He's turning 6 in a month here. And to be able to share it with him and have him at the rink, with the guys, and he's got his own name bar in the locker room and one of the stalls and all his equipment. So, for him to be able to share that with me is super special. And, just being a dad every day and being a professional hockey player is everything I can dream about.
Look at you, man, all grown up. It's unbelievable. I'm so proud of you, man. And like you said, you're putting roots down there, man, in the Peachtree State. I mean, for those that maybe don't know, and obviously you played for Listowel, you went to RIT and played for the Tigers. You're from Sundridge. So like, how does a hockey playing kid like yourself from Sundridge, Ontario, end up down in Atlanta, Georgia? How does that happen?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You talk about it all the time. My wife and I actually talk about it all the time. She's originally, and we live in Dublin, Georgia, which is about 2.5 hours southeast, kind of a little bit closer to Savannah from Atlanta. And Macon's about an hour and a half south of Atlanta. But just to be able to, you create those relationships, and you never know where you're going to wind up in your life. But lucky for me, out of RIT, signed in Germany, and it just didn't work out for me. It was a great place to be in Essen, but it wasn't for me. And I had gotten a call from a head coach down here in Macon, Kevin Kerr, who actually was born and raised in North Bay, Ontario, which is 20 minutes north of Sundridge. Talked to a few local people from North Bay, which is some coaches I had played for, and they spoke highly of Kersey. And he had said, hey, if you find your way down into the SPHL, we'd love to have you in Macon. Played in Adirondack and the East Coast for a little bit, and then found my way down to Macon, after a month and a half of being in the coast. And there was something, it's one of those things where it just felt right. And it felt a lot like Listowel did. It was a home. It was a small knit community, the fans, the guys, the staff, everyone kind of was working together towards a common goal. And I think when you have a place that treats you like the people do back home in Sundridge, Ontario, then it's home, and that's where you want to stay. So I think I've showed my loyalty here, and it's been a special place to be.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And like Cameron, like you said, you've been playing this game a long time. And, if this ends up being the last season, as you're maybe still kind of weighing the pros and cons of that and considering it, I know you said 99.9%. So,
yeah,
the old Dumb and Dumber line, you're telling me there's a chance. But as you maybe start to settle into that mindset a little more as the season goes on, have you allowed yourself to kind of start to look back over your career and all the crazy cool things you've been able to do and say, wow, like what a journey this has been that this game has taken me on.
Yeah, it really does. And it's funny, I kind of, with social media nowadays, memories come up on Facebook, memories come up everywhere. And, I sit here, and obviously I didn't know my wife when I was at RIT. I didn't know her when I was in Listowel, but, I show her and Charlie, and obviously Blake's only 7 months old, so she doesn't, understand, but, to be able to share that with Charlie and show him where I've been and the places I've been able to travel to and experience, that's something that, Charlie growing up will always, hopefully look forward to seeing that I did it. To talking with family and all the memories, I always go back to, to Listowel, and I tell everyone this, but the first time I ever, my mom was driving me to Listowel across 23, Highway 9 and 23 through, Palmerston and everything like that. I remember going through seeing all the chicken barns and the smell of it. And I remember saying to my mother, I said, Mom, where are you taking me right now? We have to turn around and get out of here. And it was, it's funny because those 3 years were some of the best years of my life. And, turns out I lived at the Vines, Ron and Ellen Vines, who are unbelievable billets for me in Listowel, as well as Scott Thompson. But, Ron and Ellen lived on a soybean farm out Line 84 and, in the middle of the country with turkey farms and chicken farms all around. So it was, it was pretty funny how it all worked out, but I'm, so appreciative that it did. And the journey I did take it's been a long one, but a very rewarding one at the end of it all.
Well, who knew you were a country boy in the end, Cameron? It all worked out for you.
Sure.
On that note, I am curious, and I always kind of wonder, just what guys like to do in terms of the routine in the room with the music. You got your team DJ. Are you a big country music guy? Because you're in a pretty good area for that.
Yeah, big time. I honestly, I like everything. I think I wasn't a big country guy, and, moving to Listowel kind of got me more into country. But obviously down here, country's massive down here. But there's another guy on the team, and we're the DJs, and most of the times in the room, I'm the EDM and rap guy. And, on, practice day, like today when I was playing music, it was a little bit of country. I think there was some Dave Matthews playing, some Blink 182. So a little bit of everything. I like to keep it, pretty easy listening during the week, and then ramp it up, once the games get going. So it's a lot of, EDM and rap for the games.
Maybe when playoffs roll around, we get really intense. We get the Pantera going, some Enter Sandman.
Alexis on Fire is on repeat. Yep, exactly. I know.
Now
they're coming to London with Billy Talent and Silver.
Okay,
I saw it.
This interview is going to take a hard left turn because I wore my Alexis on Fire long sleeve because you and I share an affinity for the only band ever. Yes. And I wanted to wear this for you in your honor. And I'm well aware that Alexis on Fire is coming to rock the park with Billy Talent. Silverstein, I want to say Cypress Hill, and of course our friends in the Dirty Nil, which, what a lineup. Are you going to come up?
No, unfortunately, because I'll be working on my green card, I actually won't even be able to cross the border until I'm given the go-ahead. So believe me, I would absolutely love to, but I was able to, of it. I was able to see Alexis on Fire last summer in Atlanta in this little hole in the wall place, and I think there was maybe 100 people, but it was probably the best time of my life. I almost would have rathered it been just 100 people because everyone loved it. We were all having a great time. So
I think that that's true of, kind of a lot of the bands, you obviously know I grew up playing in hardcore bands and everything. It's a very tight scene, very, very much like the hockey world. It's a small one. And when you see a band like that and you can do it in such a small, intimate place, it almost kind of is a little more special. You feel like you're one of the gang,
Oh, right there. We were, right at the front row there. And I could have played with Dallas Green's beard. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure he would have appreciated that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask you before we move on, because Clarkey will be upset. Clarkey's in the Dominican Republic. He's on vacation. He'll be upset if we don't start talking about your and his Maple Leafs.
Yes,
but
I knew that was coming.
Well, of course you did. Of course you did. You have opinions. I follow you on Twitter. I know what's going on down there in Macon. Yeah. I do wonder, before we move off that though, what did you think of the new record? Because I thought their new record I was just happy they were back, let alone to get a new record.
Yeah. I think it's crazy. They got a lot to work on. I don't know. It's funny because I was actually just looking at the standings, and I sit there and I say to myself, this is our year. Every single year, I make a Facebook post every year. This is our year. We're winning the Stanley Cup. But then I look at the Boston Bruins, of all teams, and I hate that I have to say this, but the fact that they have a plus 83 goal differential is, how do you compete with that? And Linus Ullmark, that's the one thing that I know Clarkey's talked about, it is the goalie situation in Toronto.
He loves the goalies.
I honestly, I don't mind the goalie situation, but I do want, it comes down to the money, and there's too much money tied up in the top guys. And I think if they were to get rid of one of those guys, I'm not going to say a name because then I'll get absolutely roasted on Twitter.
Yep.
But if they were to get rid of one of those guys, probably the one I'm going to say or would say is actually not what everyone would expect. But if they were to get rid of one of those guys and get a solid D-man and a solid starting goaltender, then I think they would have a great chance at winning a cup.
Yeah, it's a battle of filling holes in their roster, and that's basically been the story since the big four, if you want to call them that. I don't know if people really consider. I think Morgan Riley's deal is fine. So it's more the big four forwards. That's been their challenge with the salary cap world that we're in. I should have clarified though. I did more mean, what do you think of Alexis on Fire's record, the last record? But I love the thoughts.
I was thinking you were talking about Marner.
No. Yeah. Well, yeah, his record obviously was incredible, but no. Let's quickly touch on that.
Record,
yes. What'd you think? Yes, what'd you think of the album Otherness? What was your thoughts? Is it getting played in the room?
Yes, it is. Sans Soleil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, believe me, I play it all the time.
A little Reverse the Curse to fire the boys up.
Yes. Okay. I was thinking, when you said record, I was thinking we were going Leafs because you said Clarkey and the Leafs and the record.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't spell that out super well for you.
Well, it's funny. They actually,
my fault.
They played some of those songs at the concert, which was actually awesome. So I got to hear a lot of those too. But yeah, no, I love that record. That's I think it's a new age of them, but it still has a little piece of what their old stuff is, right?
Oh yeah, it's still got that punky old hard Alexis on Fire we love, but those guys are in their 40s, man. They've matured. They're writing different songs, but it's a good thing. I really like it. It's got a cool flavor to it. It's a very unique record for sure. They're a unique band, right? And I'm glad it's getting some airplay in the room. Let's move back to the Leafs though. We'll move back to the Leafs. Now, this. We have all of our friends on here, Dark Guy, Dave Poulin, everybody coming on here to chat about the Leafs. Yeah. Overall, what are your thoughts on how they're playing right now? Because, there's still some questions with the goalies. Samsonov's great at home, bad on the road, Murray the opposite. But overall, it seems like it's at a good enough level that they could win consistently with them. But the team overall, what do you think of how they've played so far this year? I don't know that there's much to complain about. They're third. Yeah, no, and that's the funny thing. And I think now in the NHL, there's so much parity. Other than a few teams, obviously, there's a few Anaheim, Arizona, Ottawa, but even Ottawa, you see the potential that they have. They're a Buffalo Sabres of about 3 years ago is how I look at them. Give them a few more years together to gel, and you put
I don't know if Cam Talbot's the goalie to do the things that they need to do, but you never know, right? They could be the next Buffalo Sabres in 2 or 3 years. But I think I just look at, the way the playoffs are set up every year, the Leafs, whether they finish, I don't think they can. Hopefully they could get a first place in the Atlantic, but I don't see it happening with the Bruins and Tampa, like the teams you have to compete with. And then the first round, who are we seeing? We're seeing Tampa or the Bruins. It doesn't.
Do you hate that? Like, because we've talked a lot, watching the show, and complained a lot with many people over the playoff format. I'm so sick of it. I can't stand it.
I just don't like it because you're seeing the same teams every year. There's no
it's boring.
There's no juggling it up. And it's the same. Being a Leafs fan, obviously, since I was born, it's the same song and dance. I know everyone says, "Oh, you're saying we," because yes, this is we. I've been dealing with this.
I do it too, brother. We all do it. We all do it.
But it's one of those things where, how do you compete with a Boston Bruins that has guys that have been there since the dawn of time together? The Bergeron, the Pasternak, Marchand, McAvoy was basically brought up into it. How do you compete with that? And then you look at Tampa Bay with Stammer, Kucherov, Hedman. I know we have Tavares, Marner, Austin Matthews, but those are guys that came into it and didn't get groomed into the winning culture. They had to try and learn how to do that. Whereas the Tampa Bay and the Boston, they were groomed. The guys that came in were being groomed by the older guys. And I don't think the Leafs had that. And that's why they've had such a hard time, getting it done in the playoffs, is because it wasn't a winning culture when they first came into the team anyways. So
I think that's an interesting perspective, Cameron, because, there are teams like that did eventually figure it out, but it's such a hard cycle to break, right? Especially when you're relying now more than ever on younger guys to push you there, because it's so much more of a young man's game. It's not the Red Wings and Avalanche of the 90s where you had a bunch of guys that were over 30 and carrying the load. You're relying on the 24, the 25-year-olds. But I will say, this, we've exchanged this before. These guys did it. Yeah. These guys, it took a while. My God, I was having, I think I lost a few years off my lifespan.
Yeah, for sure.
Watching the Pittsburgh series over the years, but they did it. Chicago. I would almost argue that the Blackhawks situation before they got Taves and Kane in there, I would almost argue it was worse. That was they were about as bad a franchise as you could find. So, there's hope there. I wonder about your perspective on this, though, and this is getting talked about a lot. And Gary Bettman, our favorite character, old Gare Bear down there in Montreal the other day, he says no one tanks, which is rich, Gary. Yeah. This is being talked about a lot, just the salary cap and the structure of it. And I've been reading, a lot of different opinions about it. I'm sure you have opinions on it, and I'd like to hear yours. There seems to be a push about maybe making a soft cap, or at least putting some sort of system in place where Canadian teams get something back for the disadvantage that tax-free states have, right? Because Tampa, you make all that money. Yeah. You make your salary. In Canada, you get taxed. What are your thoughts on the way the salary cap is structured, and how would you maybe try and fix it?
Now, the only thing I would say that teams or guys do like playing in Canada is because you're making American money. So even though you're getting taxed more, you are making American money in Canada. So there is it's a double-edged sword, I would say. At the same time, would I want to play in Tampa? Of course, everyone wants to live in Florida because there's no tax, right? So it's like I said, you could look at it from every single viewpoint. But at the end of the day, whether they raise the salary cap or not, or the soft cap, I really don't know if it makes a difference for Canadian teams. I think at the end of the day, I think some of the markets are doomed no matter what.
Yeah.
You look at Edmonton, and I'll say it right now. I think McDavid's out.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I just the way I look at it, and it's like the winning culture, like I just brought up with the Leafs, is no one was there to really groom McDavid and those young guys into a winning culture. They came into an absolute mess, and they basically were given, here, you gotta get us out of this. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. I mean, he's at the age now where, yeah, hopefully he can get them out of it, but is it too late? I don't know. So
yeah, it's a tough situation for sure.
I have a feeling, like, I mean, McDavid's in a situation like Gretzky was. Does he go down to, California and go to Anaheim and turn things around down there and make millions and millions of dollars and get out of Edmonton? Like, I don't know.
It's hard to say.
I know.
Oh yeah, it is interesting. And I mean, they go to the Western Conference Final last year, and some people do wonder, and maybe still wonder, was that as far as he could, he and Leon could push them? I don't know. I'm not a giant fan of their decor. And I mean, I maybe look at the Leafs and say the same type of thing. But there's no, the nice thing about it, I'll say for you as a Leafs fan, is there's no perfect system that many different kinds of teams can win, right? Pittsburgh played different than Washington did, and Chicago, St. Louis, a little more old school, so there's no perfect system. But I genuinely do hope, and I mean it when I tell Clarkey, I do hope they win for you guys someday. I do want to know one last thing, because I know you're a lifelong Leaf fan, you're diehard. When the Caps finally won, I was very overcome with emotion. I actually had to work that night, and our friend, of course, Steve Sabourin, God bless him, he let me watch the game during the provincial election. We were working in the newsroom that night, and my news co-hosts, God bless them, they had to put up with my yelling and screaming. And the first person I called was my mom, because my mom jumped on with me. She loved Braden Holtby, and she's a goalie lover like Clarkey. She was the first person I called. Leafs win the cup this year. After you calm down a bit, you get on the phone. Who's the first person you're calling?
Well, my wife's going to be beside me, so I'm not calling her. So I have to do that, because if she hears me say I'm not calling her, then she's going to lose it, right?
That's good.
I would be calling my dad.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I think, it's funny. He grew up in Ottawa and was a huge Habs fan. And when him and my mom started dating, my mom's uncle was on the board of directors for the Leafs when they were in Maple Leaf Gardens. They had box seats.
Wow.
And they basically told my dad, if you want to date Julie, you better become a Leafs fan. And to this day, it's hilarious. He's actually a diehard Leafs fan now. So he's the one sitting there swearing at the TV every night during the Leafs games. He can't stand Nylander. I mean, I actually love Nylander. He can't stand Nylander. He's ready to pull the plug on Nylander and ship him off back to Sweden. But that would be the guy I call. I think, it's funny. You say you were ton of emotion. It's amazing. Just the simplest little things with that team. I mean, I teared up when Matthews was drafted. Like, that's how crazy it is. So if they were to win the cup, I'd be a basket case. But I tell everyone, I rescued a dog down here about 4 or 5 years ago, and I named him Stanley Cup. And that's because if the Leafs at least I had my Stanley Cup.
Oh, geez. How special is that? That's it's amazing. The game, even as a fan, the relationships you keep and how special it is, especially among fathers and sons, mothers, daughters. It's that Leaf fandom, people like to tease them, and I give Clarkey a fair ribbing on this show. But one thing you can never say is that the Leafs Nation is not diehard and ready to ride till the end. And I will say, for your dad, who I'm sure will watch this, Bill Nye, the wrist shot guy, he's having a hell of a year. No complaining about Bill Nye.
Yes, I tell him I'll send him a text every now and then, or FaceTime and be like, "Did you see that goal?" That's why
All-star snub. All-star snub. Come on here.
For sure.
Awesome. Dude, Cameron, I'm so happy for you, man. Congrats on the record down there in Macon. I'm happy you and your family are doing well. And if this is the end of the road for you in terms of pro hockey, I'm sure you'll stay in the game, and I'm sure you want to teach your kids to play, and I have all those great memories as a parent. But if this is the end this year, it's been a hell of an experience watching you. I loved watching you play up here. I wish you nothing but success with the playoffs coming up, and it was just great to catch up with you, my friend. I'm glad you're well.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you guys having me on, and hey, if we ever do it again, that'd be awesome.
We'll do it again, man. We got to get you on before the playoffs. We'll do a playoff primer, and you and Clarkey can tell me all about what's wrong with the roster. How about that?
I'm in. Sounds good.
I love it, man. All right. Thanks to our guests this week, Caleb Cameron of the Macon Mayhem, and of course, Leah Herrfort, gold medal winner with Team Canada. That's our show for this week. Remember, you can watch the show Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod, and catch us on all the best podcast networks. Thanks to our great sponsors, Coolbet Canada, the Listowel Squash Courts, and Larry Hudson's Chevy Buick GMC on 1000 Wallace Avenue here in Listowel. I'm Ryan Drury for Clarkey down in sunny Dominican Republic. We'll be back next week with more Instigating.